What's up, everybody? It's John Sports House coming to the brand new video. How's everyone doing today? Hey, it's a mail day video. I got two stacks of cards here. This one here on the left is mail day purchases, eBay auctions that I won, all from the same seller. That set breaker that I talked about before. These are 1973 Topps baseball cards. They're all in close to mint condition. Most of these very minor little specks or little tiny little mark on the corner, something like that, but all overall definitely a PSA worthy cards. This stack right here was a trade set that I purchased from one of my local LCS's. It's the 1974 traded set. I purchased it for $5. Here's the original container that it came in. This actually goes online on average around $15, which is what the original price was. Sometimes I've seen a little bit higher. These 1974 trade set. A couple worthy names inside this. So we're going to look at that first real quick. I took everything out of this and put them all in penny sleeves and top loaders. Even though the value of these is not very high, I just want to kind of protect them because we're dealing with older cards here. So let's just look at these. Now, these cards are pretty cool. Most of them are off center. The condition, though, I mean, they're pretty crisp cards. There's very minor flaws on just a handful of them. One being right here, this corner of this one Marichal, which I think by mistake it got kind of chopped inside this plastic box. So I'm gonna actually go back to the LCS maybe this weekend and see if they had a couple more of these. I'm gonna probably buy one more to kind of make sure I have the best cards for this set. But here's one Marichal. You can see it's a very plain front here with a big trade stamp bam on the front. 1974 design. You've seen these cards before that I showed you. Ones I've got on eBay. The back of them just talks about the team they're traded from. So he went from the Giants to the Boston Red Sox. One Marichal, big name from back in the day. Great pitcher. Unbelievable pitcher. Okay, let's go through these pretty quickly. A couple names they'll stand out. You'll see them when they come up. Craig Robinson, traded to the Atlanta Braves. Claude Osteen, traded to the Houston Astros. I'm not going to say, go back on all these because it's going to take forever to get this done. And I want to kind of make this short. Jim Wynn, traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And something I noticed here, too, they painted the logos on the hats. They did not have the technology back then, so I'll point that out on the cards. There's a Jim Wynn. So you can see here, they did their best rendition of it that they could. They probably painted the collars on some of these jerseys, too. Or the full jersey. Okay, so Bobby Heisey traded to the Cardinals. Ross Grimsley, that's a name there, traded to the Orioles. Looks like from the White Sox or the Reds. No, White Sox, no, Reds. Sorry, looks like White Sox jersey. Bob Locker traded to the A's. Bill Sudokus traded to the Yankees. You can totally see the painted hat there. That's really funny. Again, they were doing the best job that they could back then. 1974. Mike Marshall traded to the Dodgers. Nellie Bryles, he was traded from the Pittsburgh Pirates to the Royals. He was one of our former announcers, passed away a while ago. Aurelio Monteagudo traded to the Phillies. Diego Segui traded to the Red Sox. Willie Davis, know that name? Traded to the Montreal Expos. Reggie Cleveland, another name from back in the day. Traded to the Boston Red Sox. Lindy McDaniel traded to the Royals. Fred Sherman traded to the Houston Astros. George Mitterwald traded to the Cubs. Eddie Kirkpatrick traded to the Pirates. Bob Johnson traded to the Indians. Ron Santo, longtime Chicago Cub, traded across town to the Chicago White Sox. You can see the painted hat there. How weird would that have been if you're a Cubs fan or a White Sox fan and Ron Santo gets traded? He was a name. Barry Lersch traded to the Atlanta Braves. Randy Hundley traded to the Twins. Pete Reichert traded to the Cardinals. This picture is really funny. This guy, John Curtis, I don't know who he is, but he went from, the Red Sox to the Cardinals. But just he kind of doesn't have a hat on. He doesn't really look like a ball player, but back then a lot of them didn't. Kind of interesting photo there. We all know this guy, Lou Piniella, traded to the Yankees from the Kansas City Royals. That's a pretty cool card. There's one little minor flaw down here. You can see this little corner. A little mark there. Other than that card's pretty good, except for the centering. Centering, all these are off. Gary Sutherland traded to the Tigers. Kurt Bavacqua to the Pirates. Jim Ray to the Tigers. Felipe Alou, we know that name. Traded to the Milwaukee Brewers. You can really see the painted hat there. Boy, that's a bad paint job. And not good. He went from the Expos to Milwaukee. Steve Stone, big name. Traded to the Chicago Cubs. Tom Murphy to the Brewers. Horacio Pena to the Cubs. Eddie Watt, to the Phillies. Cesar Tovar to the Rangers. Ron Schuler to the Phillies. Cecil Upshaw to the Indians. Merv Redmond to the Reds. Luke Walker to the Tigers. Larry Gurr, that's a name I know from back in the day. Traded to the Rangers. Jim Mason to the Yankees. Tommy Agee to the Dodgers. Terry Crowley, know that name too, to the Rangers. Fernando Gonzalez. This is a Pittsburgh Pirate trade to the Royals. He does not look thrilled. This is way before the trade probably happened. It looks like it was probably spring training. You can see the palm tree back here in the background. But he does not look thrilled at all to have his picture taken. Gonzalez, he was I believe a shortstop, force infielder for the Pirates back in the day. And here's the checklist card. So there you go. That's the trade set from 1974. Hopefully you enjoyed that. That was kind of cool for $5. It's definitely worth it. Now let's get to the main part of the mail day here. These cards are from 1973. I won these on eBay, won the auctions and all of them. The price on all of these are all over the map. George Foster, for example, I think I got this one for $1. I priced them out like I did. I did these based on, how they looked in the photos. Again, it's hard to tell 100% how these are going to end up. But I was looking at centering. I was looking at the possible condition of these. And this separator seems pretty trustworthy. So I kind of, his stuff that we've gotten has actually turned out pretty good. So there are some issues with this year. It's the back. It's got the chipping problem because of the black border. We have one of these cards already. It's a Roberto Clemente one, which I showed you a few mail day videos ago. And that kind of enticed me to want to go get some more of these 73s. And I'll start chipping away at this set too this year. We'll have to try to find some general bigger lots of these 73 cards with more of the commons that maybe, and so I get them for cheap so I can kind of build it up and then build out the better cards. Because we got a lot of them, but there are a lot that either weren't listed on eBay or from this seller, or they just were starting to get really out of control as far as the bidding went. And there was a Nolan Ryan card, but it was totally not in the greatest of condition. You can see it was probably one of the cards that came out of the set that the person was handling an awful lot. And people were bidding way too high on it, so I just kind of bowed out of that one. But this first one, these first few are just general cards that, have PSA does the value on these like from a 10. They're usually about $65. Most of these cards, if you get a 10, which again is hard to get. And then I think 9s are like $12 or something. That's what the PSA 9s come out as. So these first few are kind of like that of that kind of lot. So you got George Foster. It's a great card. It's a little off center from top to bottom. The back is a little bit off center too, but just the condition on these is pretty good. I mean, like I said, the little minor flaws you might find, some chipping issues on the back, not on this card in particular, but some of these, and then maybe the tiny little corner wear, and maybe a slight chip here and there, or centering problems, but nothing major. I don't think any of these are going to be a 10, but there are a few here that may come back as 9s if I was to send them in. So let's go through this. So George Foster, first one. Nellie Bryles, we actually just saw her in the traded set. I just got this one for $1 too. Certainly in the back of this isn't so good. It's okay, not great. The front from top to bottom is just a little off. Left to right isn't too bad. Bob Moose, another great card here. Again, centering issues. This back centering is terrible. This card was $1 too, I think. Manny Sanguian. The centering in this in the front is actually really good. Close to, very close to 100%. It's 100% left to right, but top to bottom is just slightly off. Not too bad though. The back, not so good. But the condition of this card is pretty phenomenal. I think this card ended up being about $2. maybe $1. I can't remember. I don't have the list in front of me. I ordered these a while ago. They finally showed up, and then they didn't have the list in here, and I didn't print it out. Louis Vuitton. I just grabbed this one. I think this was $1 or $2. This is like a last-second bid. The back is almost near perfect centering. It's the front is just off. But Louis Vuitton, famous pitcher for the Red Sox, Angels. Trying to think who else he pitched for the Yankees, possibly. Can't remember on the top of my head. Let's see what it says here in the back. This is Indians. I didn't realize that. Twins a year, then the Red Sox, and then from there he went to other teams. Okay, now we're getting into the cards that are kind of, PSA views these as valuable cards if you can get them in 10s or 9s. This first one's David Johnson, who we all know as a coach, but he was also a player too. This one he was in the Atlanta Braves. And this center in this card is not bad. The condition is almost, these are really, really sharp cards. The back, not so great in the centering. But this card, for example, if it's a PSA 10, it's worth $700. If it's a 9, it's worth $225. I don't think it's either one of those because of the center in the back, but it's still a pretty valuable card. The next one we have Juan Marichal. My little mark down here in the corner. The centering on the front, left to right, looks almost to be perfect. Top to bottom, just a smidge off. The back centering issues, that's what we're going to see with these cards. It's way off there. But this Marichal, they have a question mark next to a 10, which means there might not be any 10s available out there. Or if there are, they're so hard to find they can't price them out. A 9 for this card drops down to $80 though. This next one we all know, this gentleman right here, Rod Carew. Great card. I think I paid $2 for this. There is one little minor issue down here. There might even be a little minor stain that I didn't even notice in the photo. Weird stain here, but the centering issues of this card in the front. The back's actually pretty good, almost 100% there. Just the front centering is not great. This card, Rod Carew, it's a 10 and goes for $1,500 and drops down to $200 if it ends up being a 9 grade. I don't think it'll be either one of those. Lou Brock, great card here, slightly off center. Condition is phenomenal on this card. These are really, really good. Again, just minor centering issues on some of these cards. This Lou Brock one, PSA says $1,750 if it's a 10 and drops down all the way to $50 if it's a 9. You can see the massive drop there. Next one we purchased here was Steve Carlton. Again, centering issues. I think I paid $4 for this card. It was definitely worth it though. It's Steve Carlton. He's a massive, massive name, Hall of Famer. PSA says $1,800 on this card if it's a 10 and down to $175 if it's a 9. I think it's probably about a 7 because of this horrible centering issues. Other than that, the card though is in primo condition. I see very, very minimal issues with this. Maybe this little tiny corner down here, but in general, it's a pretty good card. This one's a pretty good one too. Bob Gibson. I think this one, I paid $3 or $4 for this card here. Centering issues once again. The Gibson though, PSA says is a great PSA Gem Mint 10, $1,350. A 9 is $150. So I don't think it will come back as a 9. But you never know. I'm so afraid to send these out to PSA, though, to be honest with you, because I really think they're very, very tough on these vintage cards. Very, very hard on them as far as the grading goes, unless you get somebody that's in a good mood. This next card, Del Unser, he was a big name, but big name kind of like a mid-level player. But for some reason, I don't know why, this card is actually worth something. I think I paid $3 for this card. And let's see what it says here. If it's a Gem Mint 10 from PSA, it's $1,200. A 9 is $550. It's got some centering issues on the front and the back. So right away, it knocks it down. But I don't know why this card is worth so much, to be honest with you. If there's something I'm missing in this, I don't know. Although this doesn't this look like the Cincinnati Reds logo? And he's on the Indians. So maybe there is something weird. I'll have to look at the history of this. Or maybe that just seems odd. But maybe that is what the Indians logo looked back in the day. I don't know. I'm just looking at this card and trying to figure out why that card has value to it. Okay, Al Kaline, big name. My little corner issues down here on this card. But the centering on the front is really good left to right. Top to bottom, it's a little off. This might have been Kaline. One of Kaline's last years. I'm thinking this might have been it. I have to look and see the history on him. The centering in the back's pretty bad. This Kaline card, PSA says $575. It's a Gem Mint 10, or $100 if it's a 9. But it's still good to have for the collection. And I'm just throwing these numbers out there so you can see why these cards, people go after these things. And why sometimes it's great to get good deals on eBay for this stuff, which is what I had. And this next one's Tom Seaver. Hall of Famer right there. Tom Seaver. And centering again, left to right, not so good. Top to bottom, not too bad. My little mark there in the corner. The back is almost near perfect. It's a little off, but centering wise, it's almost, yeah, just something weird about the way this was printed, this one. PSA says on this card, goes for, where is it on my list here? Seaver, $1,750 if it's a 10, or $160 if it's a 9. Okay, these last ones are the two good ones here. This one and this one, especially this last one I'll take away, and we'll bring it back at the end. Carlton Fisk, this is his second-year card, I believe. Yep. This is actually really in really excellent shape. There might be a tiny little chip down here, but overall, this is this is in pretty tip-top shape here. The centering on this card, left to right, is, I would say, perfect. The top to bottom is where it's off a little bit. The back it's off, but this is still a great card. PSA says $1,000 if this is a 10, and if it's a 9, it's worth $150. Graded. I don't know. Give me your thoughts on this one. It's his cup card. This is a classic card. I can't remember what I paid for this thing. $8, something like that. The last one is probably one of the most valuable cards in the set. There are a few. Clemente being one. There are a couple other ones, can't remember on the top of my head, but there are some pretty valuable cards from this year. This is one of them. This is Willie Mays. I'm wondering if this is Willie. I have to see if this is Willie Mays' last year as a player, but he was on the Mets for all those years. Look at that. Giants, then the Mets. So this card, centering left to right is really good. Top to bottom is not so good. It's a little off there. I'd say it's way off there. The back is actually not too bad. Not bad centering for this year. The corners are pretty good. The cut's not bad. This card is worth, if PSA would degrade this out as a 10, which it won't, would be $10,500. It's actually the same amount as the Clemente one. And if it's a 9, it's worth $425. And I think I priced this out, I can't remember what I paid for this card, $10 or something like that. I got it for a decent deal, I believe. And I think I priced it out based on if it was going to be an 8 or a 7, something around those lines. And so this is a great card to have. Willie Mays. There you go, folks. That is our mail day. I hope you enjoyed this. I will keep sharing these things with you. It's just fun to show everybody some of these purchases that I've made on these vintage cards, the eBay cards. This has been lots and lots of fun, and we'll keep doing it. And we got more videos in the way. Hey, if you're not subscribing, you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button. It's really simple. It takes 2 seconds to do that. Thank you very much for doing that for me. I appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please, thumbs up would be great. Any comments below, put those down below, right down there. And then anybody would like to share this video, please do share with your friends and family and all your cool kids that are around with you that are interested in collecting cards. Share the video. We have an eBay store. Link is down below in the description. And that is it for today. A little bit longer mail day video than I thought it would be, but I hope you enjoy it. We checked out 1973 Topps baseball cards that I won on eBay auctions, and then the 1974 traded set, Topps traded set that I purchased at one of my local card stores, my LCS. Hey, everybody, have a great weekend. This is John Sports Card signing off. We will see you all soon.